Hi everyone, and welcome to the second part of the NewsCatcher API project tutorial. So in this part we're going to complete the project by adding the codes related to the script tag. So here is the part we're going to add our JavaScript code. So let's get started. I'm going to first of all define the API key which we have got from the NewsCatcher API. So let's copy and paste our API key here. So copy it and paste it over here. Now let's also add the endpoint. So const endpoint, and here let's write it this way. And for the endpoint, notice that both of these should be placed inside of the quotation marks because they're both strings. And here I'm going to copy and paste the link of the NewsCatcher API. So all you need to do is to copy this, and I think that you better copy this one. So with HTTP, and add API before the HTTP right over here. So let me add the API dot newscatcherapi.com. So that's the correct form. And here you also need to /. There we go. So that is correct too. So the next step here is to get from notice that here we have different options, as you can see, and by default the selected one is gaming. So here we're going to get the selected one by default, and then whatever the user chooses will be handled inside of the topic onChange handler, which we're going to write later. So first of all, let's topic be equal to here we will use the document dot query selector, and here we will use the class topic. And notice that this one should be like this. So, and then we'll get the value of it. There we go. So here we'll get topic. So that's it. Actually here we do not need to do anything else. We'll just get the topic, and then the next step is to define a function related to getting the topic from the user. So function topic onChange handler, topic onChange handler, and here we will again do the same document dot query selector dot and here should be string dot topic, so the class topic, and dot value. So this is going to be placed instead of the value, the topic. So the topic will be whatever the user has chosen here, and then what we're going to do next is to run another function which we're going to define later, and that is news handler. There we go, and here it is. So now let's add another function related to preloader. So preloader is what we talked about in the previous tutorial. So we've added it somewhere over here. So this is the preloader, and this is going to check whether we've got the API or not, and if yes, it will cancel the preloader. Now let's define a function for that. So function preloader handler, function preloader handler, There we go. And here what we need to do is to document.query selector. Again, document.query selector. And here we should get the class preloader. Actually AR preloader. So let's check the name of the class, AR preloader. We can copy it in order to make sure everything's fine. There we go. And then what we're going to add the class list.toggle. Class list.toggle. And the none here. So this is going to toggle the state of the preloader. So if we're going to use this once we get the API, the data related to the API, and then we will toggle the state of it so that it will not show the preloader anymore. So that's it for the function related to the preloader, and now we're ready to go after the main function, which is the news handler. So this is going to be an async function because we're going to use the await fetch function property or function in order to get the API. So function async function, and then news handler. Here it is. And the first thing we need to do is to use the const news section and here again we will use DOM. So document dot query selector, and here we will use the news section part, which is somewhere over here. So let's look after it. This is the news section, which we will add the cards related to each one of the news of that specific topic. So here, let me copy the class of it. So the news section, and add it right over here, the news section. And so here, let's write news section dot inner HTML equals to an empty string, and then we will add the HTML tags of the cards so that it contains the news link and also the image of that news, and so that we will have the cards. Now the next step is to send a request to the API in order to get it. So const API handler, API handler, and make this equal to await fetch in order to send a request to the API. And here I'm going to paste in, so this one, and this is the link to that specific API that we want to query from. So let's make it all right here, and there we go. So here we've got the endpoint, which we have defined right over here, api.newscatcherapi.com, and this is the topic which we will get from the user, and the method is get request, and the API key which we have defined here will be used right over here. So we will have the here complete link, which we will send a get request and get the data from it. So the next step is to run const response, write const response, and make this equal to await API handler.json, API handler, which is the variable which we have defined, JSON, and here this is a function. So we'll get the JSON file, and now the next step is to check the status of this JSON file. If the status equals to OK, this is going to be a string, so OK, and then what we're going to do is to run the function preloader handler. So what this is going to do is to toggle the preloader handler so that it will stop the preloader handler from running, which is the style that waits for the API to be loaded, and then it will stop. So here we will first stop the preloader handler, and then the next step is to map. So response.articles.map, this is going to be outside of the if, or I think this is actually, this makes more sense to be inside of the if, because if that happened, we're going to do this. So response.articles.map, and then let's open the parentheses, and another one. Here we've got the article, and then here we'll get the article and add the necessary DOM elements, which is related to the cards, which I talked about earlier. And here, new section, instead of a new section, we're going to add the inner HTML, which is going to be added to the empty strings and will be added to the other news that has been added. So here it will map all of the news to the web page related to that specific part, which is the news section. So here I will use the backticks in order to add the those specific HTML codes that we're going to use here, and some variables that are key variables for those specific kinds of news. So we will use the article.title.slice, so we'll get some of the parts of the strings related to that specific news, the summary of it, the title of it, and the link to that news. So here I will copy and paste from the project that we have done, because this is a long HTML code, and so here I will copy and paste it to my project. Copy and paste it right over here. You can do the same and not waste your time writing it. So because this is not the main focus of our tutorial. There we go. So we'll use the article link. This is the link to the news. You can click on it. This is the article media, so the image that we're going to use. As you can see, this is the image tag here in the src, and the title, which we're going to slice. Also, we've got the article, the summary of that article, which we're going to add this to our card, and it starts from the character number 0 to character 150. This is also true about the title. So now here it's going to get finished, and let me add this to this line. There we go, and there we go. So now the next thing we're going to have here is the else. So this is after the if. So if that happened, we'll only console.log, and this is for our own test, console.log the response in order to see what it is. So if the response is not okay, and we were going to see what is the response inside of our console, and the next step here outside of our if statement is document dot add event listener. So this is the event listener related to our DOM content loaded, and what we're going to do is to add it here outside of our function, right? So let me close this function right here, and now here document. This is actually for running our news handler function, which we have defined right over here, news handler, and it's going to be run just right after we have loaded the web page. So document.add event listener, and this is the event listener for specifically for the DOM content loaded, DOM content loaded, and here there's no inputs. There we go. Now here we will run the news handler function, and that's it. So this is the end of the project, and if everything is okay, we will get the result just the same as what we have done successfully. So let's save this and run this with the live server and see if there is any problem going on here. So now I've noticed we've got a problem here. We've forgot to put this space dot. This AR preloader is a class, so we should put dots behind it. And also there is another problem, which is we have added the custom.css, but we haven't added the link to that specific style file. So here I'm going to add it, and here we've got, let me copy from here, CSS like this, and custom.css file, custom.css, and save this. Now let's head over to our news project page, and as you can see, everything is just the way we've wanted. So we've got the gaming news, and you can click on each one of them and see the news accordingly. And you can also choose from the drop down menu what kind of topic you're looking for. So for example, I click on finance, and it will show me the finance news. So let's head over to this news. As you can see, the web page related to that specific news has been opened up, and we can see that. So there seems to be a problem here, and we cannot see the finance news once we click on the finance. So let's see what the problem is. So there are two things we need to edit here, and here we have the news handler instead of the topic unchanged handler, which will choose the kind of a specific topic, will get it from the user, and then we'll activate the news handler. So this is a function actually, and something else is that we need to also call the preloader handler function, because it's going to stop the preloader. And so after saving this, we're going to see that once we click on finance, we will be able to see the finance news. So if I click on the tech news, then you will be able to see the tech news. So each one of them work correctly, and that's it for our project. So we've managed to successfully do the project, and if you haven't followed along with the tutorial and haven't written the codes, you can download them from our repository, which I will give a link in the description. So hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and goodbye.